Why Europe backs Ukraine's right to defend itself but stays silent on Iran. June 2025. Brussels. Europe is steadfast in its support for Ukraine's right to protect itself against Russian aggression. European leaders repeat it at every summit, every press briefing. Ukraine must be allowed to defend itself from an invader. Yet when Iran faces threats, even direct attacks on its soil and its civilians, European governments fall silent, or worse, blame Iran for provoking tensions. The question is unavoidable. Why this double standard? A shared reality. Victims of aggression. Both Ukraine and Iran face military forces far larger and more powerful. Ukraine, a nation resisting Russia's full-scale invasion since February 2022, struggles to protect its civilians and sovereignty. Iran, too, has been targeted by years of threats, covert strikes, and direct military action, most recently bombed by Israel, forcing its people into fear and hardship. The parallels are plain. Both countries are victims, and their citizens deserve safety and dignity. European leaders' selective support. When missiles rain on Ukrainian cities, European leaders speak of self-defense as a fundamental right. When bombs hit Iranian soil, silence or vague calls for restraint. Why this selective compassion? Political alliances. Ukraine's fight fits into Europe's political priorities against Russia. Historical ties. Europe shares borders, history, and cultural ties with Ukraine, so solidarity is easier. Media framing. Ukraine's suffering is front-page news. Iran's suffering is often ignored or manipulated as provocation. What does international law say? International law is clear. Every sovereign nation has a right to self-defense under the United Nations Charter. That right doesn't come with an asterisk, not for Ukraine, not for Iran. Yet Europe applies the law unequally. The moral test for Europe. Europe's moral authority is on the line. If the right to self-defense is universal, then why is it defended only when politically convenient? Recognizing Iran's right to protect its people from aggression, just as Ukraine can protect itself from Russia, would show Europe's commitment to true international law, not selective justice. Consistency or hypocrisy. The truth is stark. Ukraine and Iran are both victims. Russia and Israel are both aggressors. Europe cannot champion one victim and ignore the other without betraying its own principles. If Europe truly believes in justice, then it must stand behind every nation's right to live without fear, no matter who the aggressor is.